PlayerUnknown's Vaulting and Ballistics update has come to the test servers. I'm Jake Tucker from Esports Pro, and we're here to talk about whether that makes a difference for spectators and players. Battlegrounds has been too popular. The game's meteoric success has seen it set the highest all-time player peak record on Steam, with over 2.6 million people playing it at once, and it's seen it bought by over 20 million players since it was released under Steam's early access program in March. But you can't make the massive stacks of cash that developer Bluehole have made, enough that they've created a new company, PUBG Corp, just to manage the game, without encouraging a wave of imitations. A lot of people are getting into the Battle Royale act. Grand Theft Auto has released its own mode, Warface is releasing a mode coming soon, but the best known amongst these is probably Fortnite Battle Royale, which is a Battle Royale version of Epic's Survive 'em Up. Now, Epic are the guys who licensed the Unreal Engine out to Bluehole in the first place so they could make the game, so there's been a little bit of a kerfuffle about it, but worse than people just trading itself is that Fortnite has actually beaten PUBG to consoles, and that means that Battlegrounds is facing increased pressure now to try and make good on that launch, which is coming in December. This update, which adds alongside a lot of small fixes, the vaulting and ballistics, has really kind of created a bit of excitement for the community. Vaulting was shown off at E3 back in June, and people are very excited about the way that it's going to change the game. But these ballistics changes are also, they're going to be changing it in a different way as well, so the combat will change and it will shake up, and as the game becomes a much bigger deal competitively, these are important changes that need to happen. So for a lot of people, both the players, pros, and even people that are just watching along at home, this update is a really important proof of concept, and so we just wanted to look into it and see how that was. Now, I mean, you can see the footage now. This is a test version of the game, and so it's slightly less stable, and as a result I have actually set my graphics settings ever so slightly lower. So if things don't look as good as you think they look on your home machine, that's only because this is a test version of the game, and it is running an unstable build. Now, as they get closer and closer to that 1.0 release, the theory is that we're going to have more tests, and each of them are going to be more stable until we finally kind of launch into 1.0. So these changes aren't on the live server, and they won't actually be on the live server potentially until December. It's really hard to overstate the impact that vaulting has had on the game, and I think that's both from a playing and spectating viewpoint. Now, it used to be possible to jump over smaller walls with a popular exploit that allowed players to bind the jump and crouch buttons to a single button combination, but the ability to crouch jump that easily was patched out several weeks ago, and it's meant that small fences and half-built walls are some of the most difficult enemies to face in PUBG. Now, the addition of vaulting means that traversal is simple and reliable, and it's as simple as just holding the jump button and then you clamber over the object you're next to, and you actually vault at the speed at which you're moving. So if you sprint towards a wall and you time it well, you will go over it at a running speed, whereas if you run and then you stop before you vault, you'll vault over it slightly slower, which is bad if people are shooting at you, but maybe better if you don't want to draw people's attention by moving quite quickly. This means that built up areas like Chinky or Georgia Pole are much easier to navigate. Now, previously there were death traps for the dead ends, and now there are booths to navigate, and what that means is that it speeds up your looting because you can take faster routes, but it also gives you a lot more options when a firefight in the town goes sideways. Vaulting makes the entire game feel a lot more mobile, and you have a lot more flexibility, and it also means that the playing field is slightly more balanced, because it used to be that those that could utilise crouch jumping were super agile commandos that could do things that other players could not, and now it's slightly more easy because everyone can move over the same objects, even if the way that they do it is slightly different. Now, the extra movement also allows you to move through, say, the small windows that previously before you had no way of tackling, and getting through those tiny windows gives you a lot more avenues to assault a house that's got people inside it, and I think that's really valuable. Being able to assault fortified houses should make the game feel a lot more dynamic, and it's going to be a lot more fun to watch, even if it means that pros are going to have to completely reassess the game when vaulting hits the live servers. A smaller change attached to this is that windows, which you could previously get through by crouch jumping in several cases, now actually break when the player moves through them, and this is one of the big complaints people had about the game as it stands currently, and it also means that if you are jumping either into or out of a house, the telltale glass break will warn people that it's happening, and it should give them more of a chance to react. The other big change to the game currently is ballistics. Now, this is much harder to see in the video, primarily because I don't shoot a lot of people, but in short, guns are a little less accurate after 300 meters, and bullets are now affected by air drag. Now, that actually means there's more bullet drop, and it means that you're going to have a harder time engaging people at long range. Now, this helps with one of the biggest problems from Battle Royale titles, which is kind of a holdover from the genre's origins in Survive 'em Up DayZ, is that occasionally someone's just going to shoot you in the head at long range without any warning. Now that's not a lot of fun to be playing and for that to happen, but from a competitive standpoint, this isn't very fun to watch. Now, as your chosen player gets eliminated with a 7.62 round to the noggin at 500 meters, that's a bit anticlimactic, and so making those longer range fights a little bit more difficult is going to go some way to making them more enjoyable. One, because you might get a bit of a warning before people get murdered, but two, because if someone does get taken out of a single shot from afar, it's probably going to go in someone's kill montage because they've just pulled off a really remarkable shot. I think it's a good update. I'm not here to talk about for players how this update actually is, but I will say that I've enjoyed it. I think it is a big step up. I think a lot of the changes that I've not really talked about here in length, such as cars being changed so that they handle more realistically and sound slightly different, all of those are good. I think I'm going to struggle to go back to a PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds that doesn't have vaulting in it now, and the wait for December is going to be very difficult as it's a game that I do play every day, but I think this is a step in the right direction, and I think that's really important for a game that is getting a bit of a hammering from its community just because they don't feel like progress is being made fast enough. Now this is a sweeping update, and hopefully they will put paid to some of that stuff. I think as a competitive game, it still has a bit of a way to go to make a positive experience for spectators and players, but 1.0 is on the way, and I think this is a very positive preview of what's coming, and it shows why it's still the Battle Royale game to watch. I'm Jake Tucker for Esports Pro, and I guess you could like and subscribe to this if you enjoyed the video.